On social media platforms today, quality content often goes unnoticed. On Den, users get paid for the creation, evaluation, and curation of quality content. Content creators are rewarded based upon the engagement and reach of their post or comment. Content evaluators are rewarded based upon the speed and results of their predictions about which content will trend or go viral. Community owners are rewarded based on engagement within their community. On Den, quality content pays.
Oh, we lost Dave. So I'm here, and I just need to pull up the agenda so I can read it. Sorry, guys. Dave was here. He'll be back, but I'll start it. So welcome to DENDAO, the meeting for governance of Den. And if you like, we'll start with just some updates. I mean, this is a meeting, so if at any point during the show you want to come in and ask questions or get anything else, you can either ask questions in the live feed, or you can actually join by this post. So there's a link right there. First updates, the August 2022 LCP layers are now live. We do have, let's see here, the top and unique voters was natural health. And quite a few, I think, also. The number 5 most lore was conspiracy theories, which will be fun. And the number 13 most lore committed was anime and manga. And one way or another, we're looking for make sure you get in there and subscribe to them all and take part, because I think some of them are still going through the process of getting their branding up and everything else. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the conspiracy theories layer has the first proposal to be all anonymous, which will be super cool, that you won't even be able to make a post with an ID. So, and it looks like it, did it pass, or is it still pending? It passed. It is all anonymous. So you basically can now only make anonymous posts in the conspiracy layer. So that'll really be fun. Make sure you get in there and make some anonymous posts. Go grab some info from your uncle or 4chan or wherever you might have a good conspiracy theory and throw it in there. And then I haven't heard much yet on but I just subscribed to him, I think yesterday evening. So I'm watching, and I know I made a couple of votes on the layer DAOs there. So anyway, get in there and check them out, make some posts. Do we have any community feedback? Do we have anything at the bottom? There's nothing in the post, so we're good. Is there anything in the comments? Let's see here. Dave's network distance. I keep doing that. Network just died. He'll be here ASAP. So stuff probably have to reset his router or something. That's very annoying if it's timed like that. So I don't know if we have any community feedback, but I'll try to, let me think here. I'll try to wait out a little bit. See what can I talk about? Every week when you're on here, if you guys want to add anything to the agenda, please feel free to add it to the post, or if you prefer to dial in. I know I am often comes in and makes great commentary, as do others. So that is very very good for DENDAO as a whole. And I can talk about maybe some of the things that we're getting started on. I still have a couple of comments and suggestions rolling through in my head on the metrics question. So there's an RFI out there, and we do want more information about your thoughts on how what you would want to see in the data. And I think Dave's back. So
Apologies.
You might tell me if I'm missing. No, it's fine. Oh, fine. I went through the new LCP layers, and the fact that maybe we should even talk about this. Conspiracy theories is all anon, always now.
Yeah, that's great. I think that I was waiting. I didn't know which layer was going to be the first one to do that. I knew that was a capability that had not been used yet on Den, and I think that it really makes it a couple of things. I'll go on and on about it, I guess. It makes it interesting for obviously the lot holders, right? Because if you understand the way that the anonymous posts work, all anon posts, because of the nature of anonymity, they don't get rewarded for anything related to that post because there's nobody to reward. It's anonymous. So instead, those rewards go to the owners of the layer, which should incentivize them to go out and find researchers, right, to post in the layer and find interesting things. Yes. And the most valuable content is going to be that original research, or at least people that want to take existing things and put it on chain so that they can go back later and say, no, this wasn't altered or edited. This is exactly the way it was in the beginning. So that'll be super cool. And then, maybe being all anonymous will incentivize people to go ahead and do that. Yes. And I don't think it would work in every layer. Like I wouldn't, I mean, you see, okay, 4chan's a great example, right? We'll talk about a different social network. There's some really fantastic communities on 4chan. There's some really appalling, disgusting communities on 4chan. You know what I mean? And both of those are enabled by anonymity. There's two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. So,
and the funny thing, it's a weird thing to me, but you could say the exact same thing about Reddit or Facebook, right?
Yeah.
To different degrees. I mean, Reddit has some pretty nasty stuff. There's watch people die. There's just a bunch of really nasty stuff.
There really is.
And there's a lot of good stuff, or at least
and there was even especially. I won't get into that, but yeah, there's with Facebook, there now is more anonymity than there. When it first came out, you were required to use a real name. And you would get turned off if you didn't use your real actual name. Mm-hmm. And then they went on to allow okay, I think it was because people had friendlings in their head, or something. They're like, well, if I want to be Morningstar, Rainbow, that's who I am. And who are you to say that's not my real name? Which is fine. I got a lot of friends named Rainbow. I come from my dad's side's a redneck, my mom's side's a hippies, and we have a lot of friends that have names they weren't born with, and that's fine.
Zeke Rainbow.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I think it's interesting.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I don't know, because it hasn't been done yet. I don't know what kind of effect it's going to have on here. I think economically is the most interesting thing, personally.
Yeah. Well, and I will say the one thing that is interesting about both those cases of Reddit and the cases, especially with 4chan, is that once you are acclimated to it and you kind of know what to just ignore and what not to open, you just kind of keep going down. It's often very interesting because the text alone that you will get information that you can't get anywhere else anymore. On the internet.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's free. So
I typically will look for things there, even in the gross parts, just because after all of these years, it's a weird thing. You teach yourself, even, how on Den, something's marked, we help each other out with that sort of thing. Mark something as not safe for work or mark something as abuse. And then it blurs out the image, and some, in the case of abuse, it'll blur out the text as well. Also the spam tag. Mm-hmm. But on a less filtered board, you do learn to just, it's kind of subconscious after a while, right? And I'll find myself I'll just kind of subconsciously blur out in my mind an image as I scroll. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I just won't focus or look at it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Oh, here's something interesting. So yeah, if you're somebody who wants to dig, there's stuff in there. What they don't have, though, is a system like we have where you can organize, you can crowdsource the organization of information and the organization of where the interesting posts are and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't really I've got negative feelings about 4chan, but I've got I respect the community as well. And I don't know when there's going to be a 4chan layer, you know what I mean, on Den, assuming maybe it's 10, 20 years from now or something. Like there's shit done on Reddit. Reddit has a subreddit called shit 4chan says, you know, stuff like that. So
I think it'd be a great LCP proposal myself. But, you know.
Yeah. So interesting though. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't know. One way of looking at it is, dear God, protect the eyes of the children. And the other way of looking at it is like, the children need to grow up. The world's terrible. Here's what it really is, you know? And then somewhere in between there is, I guess, Den. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. If it's free, it's good. I mean, so, and because you don't have to look at it, right?
Yeah. You don't.
Kids
Yeah.
definitely don't have to. So,
yeah. No one's putting it on your morning television show or on your radio or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So even those things you can turn off, and please do.
Although maybe somebody should get a, do they still do community broadcast time that you could get, like PBS or something like that, where we could just read Den posts?
That's funny.
So
That's
we
funny.
get some weird classification that is like, oh my gosh, this stuff is overpriced. FCC might have to figure.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that like analog media. I was saying earlier on World Blockchain that I think analog media has room to read for a rebirth of that medium. Hard to hack on a VHS tape. You know what I mean, or like steal that over the internet, kind of thing.
This is true. That's funny.
So where else did I jump in? In the beginning, I don't know. I went to Windows because they have better, for some reason, my Logitech webcam works like better resolution there. But then like my network died as soon as we went live. So now I'm back on Linux again and it works. So where are we at?
It's a better world. Let's see here. We got through the layers that were created and about people getting involved. Oh, and I started to talk about the metrics, the fact that there is still an RFI out there. In fact, I'm still running through ideas in my head and how I need to, write them up to get any feedback on them as well. But we already have at least a few comments on that RFI that were really good in terms of what type of data, what type of metrics, not necessarily formatting, but it does matter, if there's a difference between I want to see today's number for a certain thing versus the trend. I want to see it charted to see the top 10 layers over time and, how they're moving and all that stuff. Right.
I like this, like basically like activity metrics and growth metrics to new user data and active users.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, because that's important stuff. And
maybe even a retention metric, like.
I think we lost him again. Yeah, I think we lost him again.
Oh, am I? No, I'm here.
Okay. All right. No, okay. It just cut right there. Retention. You said retention metric, and then.
Like retention metric, where maybe what am I trying to say? New users that remain active after a period of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Like a bounce thing or something.
Or the inverse of that. How many do we lose when they, because the learning curve exists, especially when everything in the world has been dumbed down so much to where you don't have to use your brain to do anything because that drives clicks. The easier the click, the easier that, that people make money on ads and stuff. And I think everything has been sort of gone that way to where you don't have to think. A pretty good example of that is, like, I don't want to pick on anybody, but I feel like but I still want to talk about it. So I don't know. The sidebar, not the sidebar, the navigation bar on the side, with the words and stuff.
Yes.
That's an example of like, yes, it's very important that people feel comfortable clicking on a button to see what it does and stuff, right? And I've said in the past, I understand a lot of the Web3 stuff, especially if we're positioning ourselves as Web3. People have been told, hey, be careful what you click on because this stuff's permanent and yada, yada, especially with MetaMask and stuff like that. So I don't know how much of that, reluctance for trial and error extends to Den itself. But it's one of those things where
I hope we get the people that are just here for the content instead of the crypto side anyway, so it's all good.
And I don't want to necessarily filter anyone out either, but it is helpful.
Yeah,
it is helpful to get people in that like are willing to dig in and look around and figure it out, to be like a baseline community in the first place.
Oh yeah,
because that's who can lend a hand to somebody else who has questions.
Yep. And I just think more often that's going to be the people who are here for the community side. That's a new thing, new way to do things, whatever. Because you don't have to get over that hurdle of, well, wait a minute, how much is the fee? Where do I, how do I make this post? Where do I connect to MetaMask? And, it's like, no, you don't do any of that. It's, forget about that right now.
Yeah. And then I've been thinking a lot, the last few weeks I've been kind of out, and I've been doing a lot of thinking, especially when I was in Iceland. I was isolated and, thought about a lot of stuff. And part of that was like, I'm pretty guilty in the beginning, at least, of trying to follow some hype and saying, hey, you like play to earn? We are that. You like, Web3? We are that. You like this and that. And this is true. We have farming and staking. We have, Web3 functionality and all that. But then once once Three Arrows collapsed and all of that, everybody was like, oh my God, all of this is terrible and it's all a scam. And I had just spent a long time unintentionally tying us to that. Yeah. Even though we're not that, we include those features as well if you want them.
Yeah.
So I felt, and I noticed at least a distinct drop in like people who gave a shit about anything crypto. And then across the board, it was smeared and stuff like that. I'm like, maybe that was a mistake. And really the way to use Den is to just use it and stop thinking about the profits and stop thinking about like how much you're going to make. Because at the end of the day, any amount of rewards is more than you're getting on any other platform that's, Web 2 or whatever. So
if anything, if you were to think of it as, if I optimize my use, I will have more power to help direct it in the DAO, right?
That's where it's at, because everything, yes, you can take value out and run off with it. That's fine, I guess. And in some cases that's very helpful because it helps somebody live their life and stick around and be a valuable contributor. But really everything's geared towards, I guess, outsourcing labor, if you want to put it really kind of briefly, where the thing is instead of spending all of these hours interviewing people and talking to them about what their goals and ideals are and how they, are going to be consistent and, play nicely so that it helps everything grow. Instead of doing that, you can literally just say, okay, whoever is doing the things will get more power or more influence or more ability to interact without running out of energy or whatever it is, DAO governance votes and stuff. Right. So I think positioning it that way, since we're on a DAO call, especially in marketing and stuff, like positioning it that way to where it's less about this sort of monetary game than it is about this, owning your own content and having sovereignty over your own communities and stuff like that.
Yep, exactly.
And who gets to run that, right? Who's the boss? Because that's a question I've gotten a bunch of times is like, well, who moderates? Well, kind of you do, know, whoever wants that job.
Yes. It's amazing.
So the RFI, I've read through it. I haven't added anything to it. So I need to do that. I've read them, but I haven't added anything to it. And that's great. That gives us stuff to plug in and figure out how to calculate. Some of it we have to calculate, but some of it's just kind of something we can pull from what's.
Yep. We lost you again, but we can, but I am getting stuff set up with one of the engineers. I think you're back now. One of the engineers.
Oh, I did it again, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like like an extended hiccup. It's kind of
so it wasn't Windows then. It's my network. Okay. It's good to know. That's good to know.
But yeah, I'm getting some things set up with the engineer we think it's going to be just another set of pages in what is already the what do we call them? The payout metrics or the
metrics page.
Yeah. And I would like to get it more embedded so it feels like it's inside of the site instead of launching into a separate subdomain, in a separate tab when you click it. So we're going to maybe try to adjust that too, but just to get some more, data in there, and ideally to chart some of the trends, to get, layer rankings, maybe with different tabs, that you could see the top layers by post count or content count, maybe, or the top layers by matter generation, and then the top layers by matter generation per lot, right? That type of thing.
I think that in itself is an incentive for people to basically to drive people to the site or to their layers or whatever. I think of like we were talking about Battle.net or Battle.net earlier on the blockchain show, and that one had a leaderboard of like who the top players were and who the top scores people were, and which community created map was the most popular, which one was played the most often versus what official map was played the most often, and stuff like that. So there's definitely some analogies in gaming that we could probably pull from as well to see what's working for people, because that's all working for people without any kind of monetary gain, right? So that's a very good place to look, I think, to see what people what hooks people and what they want to see and what's important to people.
Yep. And we have to decide if we're going to have a denizen leaderboard, or if that's too, or if we have to have an opt out or something if you don't want to be ranked, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember like I went through one school where I scored really well. I kept getting 100% on all the exams, and we got like a little sign to put on our desk that said we got 100%. And then every time we got another 100%, we get another sign. But if we ever got anything less than 100%, all your signs went away, right? So I got to where I had like 12 or 13 signs, and it just became offensive to people. You know what I mean? So I don't know if the denizen leaderboard is it depends on, like, I don't know. People should be able to flaunt it, I guess, but at the same time, I don't know. People are weird.
I do think if you just on the analytical side, it would be good, because you could see, I've never seen their content. I don't, because you don't subscribe to whatever layers, you can click on them, you can see what they're, there's discovery there, which would be great. There's also
the discovery thing, I think, is going to really be helped out by cross posting, right? Yeah. So even if we put a placeholder in, since we don't have cross posting yet, on the leaderboard, if we kind of think ahead and think like, okay, we should probably have in discoverability, you should probably put like, let's say you're following somebody. Among your followers, what are some layers that your followers post in that you are not subscribed in? Yeah. Right. That's not technically a leaderboard thing. It's more of a visibility and discovery thing.
Yep.
But visibility and discovery is an issue that we could improve on as well.
Yeah. Yep. We could do best posts by consensus, irregardless how much they earned. We could do things
that one's cool too, because that's like somebody asked me recently, like, why would I get downvoted, and can we make people thought it was actually pretty good. Can we require a comment if you're downvoting? Was the question, and I was like, that's interesting. I don't know if I'm for it, but it's an interesting idea. It would preferably, if you could get it to be a cultural thing where people just know to do that, to help out, to say, hey, I'm downvoting this, don't feel bad, it's just because it sucks, or whatever, or
doesn't belong here, right?
It's a great photo, but it's a photo of a rock and this is the ocean layer, or whatever, that kind of thing. So
man, and then there are a couple of others that might be, like, say, we don't have it yet, but when the app records an invite, let's say I send out a link, I'm already getting a reward for referrals, even whether it's boosted or just as a general referral. So the more clicks I get referring someone to any Den post, the more I get. But imagine if that person who came in then registered account, we put a cookie there, they register an account, you get credit for it. That would be a really good metric, I do think, for people to say, Jim's amazing. He's brought in, however many thousand
people. There has been a couple of requests for a referral system, for sure. And so you can see who the top headhunters are.
Yep, we need that. So it wouldn't be that hard. We already have all of the infrastructure there. We just have to plug it into to know when someone came in from any post. Like if I think it shouldn't just be, hey, join Den, click this link. I think it should be, here's a link to Den. It's great stuff. They come in and it's like, oh, they subscribe, then that would be good. Anyway.
I'm still thinking about what you said a minute ago about top by consensus, regardless of how much energy or regardless of how much matter payout it got.
Right.
Because some things just don't get people to bother clicking on them. And some things get 20 people to vote on it.
Yeah.
So seeing which posts or which particular pieces of content drove interaction is a good one, and I think. Yeah.
Another one we could do would be most controversial, things that have closest to a 50% and the highest numbers on both sides to know that it's like, this thing is controversial. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Especially if because that's where you can get into this dynamic range concept that you were talking about is where you can get if there's something in the middle that's there's strong opinions on both sides.
Yep. Wow. Okay.
There's a tab open here about library and Odyssey.com.
Yes.
I haven't looked into this at all yet. I've just started getting up and running on Odyssey myself for the coffee show, which actually their interface is pretty good. And they have incentives over there too, where the first time you do this action, you get a little piece. It's a one-time reward, and I think it gets people to learn the system. And this is outside the scope of this post, but there's things like the first time you figure out how to go live, you get a little library coin bonus. And the first time that you follow somebody, you get
That's
a
cool.
0.01 or something like that.
That's awesome.
So I thought that was cool. It was kind of leading people to hey, go learn this. And as you learn it and figure it out, you complete the task, you get a bonus.
Yeah.
Gamification. But yeah, what do you think about are there downsides to integrating library or Odyssey?
Nope.
Would we need special treatment? I know YouTube is pretty safe to assume that if the author has not marked it as 18 plus, or they haven't marked it as, not for kids or something like that, you can just put it up. It's fine. It's on YouTube. They do a really good job of making sure nothing's allowed to be on their system. So, yeah.
Well, except for that
they get rid of everything.
Well, they do have a lot of stuff that shouldn't be on there that is marked for kids too.
Well,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they do a good job. I say they do, but it's generally reliable.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
But my assumption is that the regular NSFW tag would take care of that. That hopefully the person would mark it. If they didn't, somebody would, and then it would automatically be, And by the way, it's not going to be playing automatically. So even if it's not their first time, it's
no, it's not.
Be all right.
Yeah. So you think we should talk about, we probably should, I guess, but, and in this I am thread, we should talk about it, I guess. But in the adult layer, the one that we have where everything's automatically tagged as NSFW, something like that.
I don't know. I would think though, probably.
I also don't want to attach it.
Yeah. Because
I don't want to attach
majority of stuff that would be just randomly posted from Library Odyssey isn't going to be not safe for work, right?
No, it's not.
So, now we could do something to be less in your face, where it wouldn't be blurred. It just might have a little note saying that this is this. Frankly, we should put that on the YouTube links as well, right?
Yeah.
We just say, hey, there's a little disclaimer that this is unknown content, not hosted on Den. View at your own risk, right?
Right.
So
that's a good point. And maybe that's the answer, is that whatever we apply it across the board, because what I don't want to do is create a stigma that's not there, or create, some sort of impression that for whatever reason, that since it's an Odyssey video, it needs special treatment or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Cool.
But
I did notice
this will be amazing. It'll be very good to have this there. So
I did notice that there were 2 Reuters articles that were lashing out on Rumble and on Odyssey specifically.
really,
They're talking about how they are allowing people to say things that they mean, allowing people to say things that are on their mind, that kind of stuff. I'm all for adding it. Cool, especially because then you get
discussion. Discussion.
Yeah. This is just a discussion at the time. That way we can figure out what sort of proposal it should be. But I was going to say, using Library or Odyssey, you could then earn rewards not just on Den, but also on your Odyssey content as well, and vice versa. People from Odyssey could maybe discover Den. If we were to implement this for marketing, I think it could be a great idea. I've said before, like maybe we could run an L1, Den's L1 over on Flux or Kudos or, one of those decentralized hosting platforms as a way to say, hey, this existing community, we have implemented your tech natively. Come check us out. And I think a lot of them will, because of course maybe they write in their blog, like, hey, a social media network is using our tech. And then that drives people's eyeballs to Den to see what it's about. A lot of this can be doubled up on, basically. Use it as marketing as well as a solution, because they are great solutions.
Yeah. Now, can you tell me what do you know about what does it cost to upload a video, and how do you keep paying for it to keep it stuck?
So
keep it there?
Here's what I know so far. I got to look into it some more, but from what I understand, you can have a static live stream link where you have your own key and it doesn't change and it goes live to that every time. Right. And you add library to LBC to it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I don't know everything that does, but one of the things that it does is it's like adding clout to it, or not clout, but like, let's say I have something called Coffee with Den, and then you come in and you start a show called Coffee with Den. Right. Well, I'm going to be like, no, mine's the real one. And I'll go and I'll take my utility token and I'll put it on that, and I'll stake that on my video and say, no, I'm the real one. If you want to think that you're the real one, you got to add yours. So there's some of that. I think it's like to fight spam. It probably helps it show up.
Totally.
I noticed that we were in our first broadcast, there's a little button for rabbit hole as a category. There's like the different categories, gaming and this, and then there's rabbit hole. And so I noticed we showed up at the top of like in the first few rows of rabbit hole.
Wow.
And it's like a new thing because I threw like 69 coins on it. It suggested 0.1 or something. And I was like, screw that. I'm here. What's up?
That is awesome. Wow.
So it works. It seems to work. We showed up on one of the discoverable categories, which is great. First time I used it. I could never do that with YouTube. I could never say like,
yeah, no joke, right?
You can buy it. You can technically buy it. You just gotta leave the US and then buy it while you're out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
I used to have some, but I don't think I have it anymore. So.
They even have a button on the application to buy it with a credit card.
Oh, really? Well, okay, there you go.
You just can't do it in the US though. So globally you can, but not in the US. Even though it's a US company.
Oh God.
But you can buy it in Iceland, and you can buy it in Europe, and you can buy it, you know what I mean?
What are they at? How much is one?
Not much. I forget, but it's less than $1. It's like I spent like $100 and bought, I want to say like 4,100 tokens.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Geez, yeah.
So it's like, you can get a bunch and then you can use them for, hosting videos and stuff like that.
Because I'm trying to figure out is there a way that we could essentially, beyond just, you can point to a video that's already uploaded. Mm-hmm. Is there a way that we could, I'm looking right here, there's a publish API doc here. So it's doable. But how would we economically handle it?
I see what you're saying.
Go to them and say, hey, would you guys mind granting some so that we could, and maybe you don't have to put any in, but I don't know what the fees are. So if we said, if I came in as a denizen and I have a video here on my machine that I could upload the video of my puppy and it would be on library, but it would be native in Den, and we wouldn't have to do our own native thing at all.
So I think that's what Odyssey does, because Odyssey is a layer on top of library.
Okay.
And so I see what you're saying. You're talking about, so I was thinking just like YouTube links, you know, I put a link into an Odyssey video and it makes it embedded in native appearing. But you're talking about how can we integrate Odyssey in a way where literally you upload to library from Den natively.
Yeah. Right.
And you could even live stream from Den onto Odyssey natively. And it shows up on Den and it shows up on Odyssey and it shows up on library.
That's right.
That's a very good idea. And I think the answer to that's probably going to be to support their network in your wallet to where you can just bring in library coins, LBC or something like that. So
you would have to, the denizen would have to do it. It wouldn't be. Is there any way to do it without you know, a fee?
Well, I think the fee, how they, and this is like, I know very little about how it actually works at this point, and I've got a lot of research to do, but I think the fees are how they manage spam and like low effort stuff, because it's kind of like how, you know, like if you're a creator and you're serious about this and you're making like putting a lot of time and effort into a single video, you're going to want to put a few more of those tokens on there to be like, no, but for real, check this out, because it's a little bit more effort than your average, you know, like drive-by upload.
There might be something on. We might even want to talk to them, because it might be something they could help us figure out. But you imagine if, you know, regular denizen, you know, I just want to post a video of my, I don't need it to be, you know, a big thing.
Oh yeah, you just needed to work on Den.
Yeah, it'd be on Den.
That's
People
true.
Find it Den, it would work, and it would get more use on Odyssey and library. There might be something we can do with them.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it would be fantastic if like interoperability was such that they would just accept Matter, you know, on their end. But that's a big ask. More reasonable.
Although the funny thing is, I looked at the library API and it actually says, there's actually a field for fee currency. So apparently they accept multiple currencies. Specify fee currency. Okay,
interesting.
I don't know. But
well, that is a good question to look into, because I hadn't, you know, I was thinking about this just as, you know, like a one-way thing. How do we show Odyssey content on it? But we also have the other issue of we do need native video support on Den, and they have that in a decentralized network.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
It says the docs say LBC, BTC, or USD, which is interesting, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe the docs can get updated with Matter.
Yeah.
That's funny. Or we could do it in Dragon Chain L1 as well. If we like, technically we could have it to where
if we bought a bunch of LBC,
right.
Costs, I don't know if they charge by size, and is it ongoing, or does it just stay forever, or what, you know, what?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it gets used up by the views and that's where people get their rewards from or something. I don't know. That's an answer I don't know. That's something I don't know the answer to.
Cool.
I don't know. I like where your head's at though, because I was thinking about using some of Saya's tech.
Yeah,
for that.
I liked that idea too. So it's just a matter of.
But still, same issue there is you need Saya coin to pay for hosting on their network. Yeah. So.
And if the other weird bit is that it requires active, like seeding, like in a torrent. So
the people that are serving it up, they can
keep serving it.
Serving it up.
Yeah.
They're incentivized to do that, but they're not necessarily going to do that. They're not required.
And that's one question that I guess I've never asked. I should have asked this by now. Library and Siacoin, is the blockchain for the reward structure and the facilitation of, you know, how things get managed, or is it to store the videos?
It's for the reward structure and how things get managed, I think, because what I found in the Odyssey app, or maybe it was the library app, one of them, was that there's settings where you can use a percentage of your computer's storage
I
to
see.
serve up videos on the network to help out,
Yeah.
just like BitTorrent or something.
I ran that for. I need to reinstall that. I ran that for a while on my desktop. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think they're
So
two
it's
different
just like
layers.
torrents. It's just like where you can
I
say,
think so. Yeah, I think
you can
so.
even throttle the network and stuff, so it doesn't overtake all your.
Because I remember the I bought some on Bitmart, and the confirmation time whenever I moved it from the exchange to my wallet was pretty quick.
Mhm.
So their on-chain stuff's relatively quick. There's like less than a minute for sure.
Cool.
But I don't think there are videos on there.
Okay, that's interesting. They should put their video on Dragon Chain. Anyway, that's great. That's something to at least figure out, because that would be very valuable.
Yeah, I'll have to report back into this post from I Am for I Am whenever I find out more about that, because I don't know if the fee gets used up over time, if it decays, in any way, or gets rewarded to people, and I don't know if it's just there for, like, I don't know if it helps boost visibility, or if it's just there to like claim your video is yours or something.
Yeah. Huh.
But I can read, and I will.
Excellent.
What else we got going on here? Our LCP proposals still open for layer creation?
Next week.
Next week.
Not yet. Yeah, they just closed out. Not next week. Sometime soon. The week after next. They just got closed out. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
We just made the new ones. So this week was the making them. Next week is something.
2 weeks from now.
Yeah. So 2 weeks from now they do the proposals.
We're getting messages from backstage, even though we have a private chat. We're choosing to do charades and hand signals.
Oh, on the 5th week we rest.
Ah, okay.
There's a 5th week this month. It's a special month where the system doesn't have to do anything that week.
It's funny. The charades thing is even more fun, though. That's what I do with my German family whenever I visit, is I'm just like hand signals and pointing at shit, and
And then don't you have to combine a whole bunch of words together to make it German?
Yeah, there's no spaces in their sentences. It's all just one word.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. And my mother-in-law, if I don't understand something, that she'll just say it louder, as if that's going to help.
Oh, here's a question. Here's something I saw. So I haven't made this post because I'm kind of waiting until cross posts are up.
Mm-hmm.
There is a channel that I watch on YouTube all the time because I'm a history guy, right? Well, for some reason I saw this, and the stuff he has on it is freaking amazing, because it's all tasting history, right? And it's basically, he just makes recipes from ancient cookbooks.
Oh, okay.
Amazing, right? And my wife and I have made a couple of these things, and they're really good. But it's just this super interesting stuff, because the like Parthian chicken, where it has a very unique flavor that the Romans like, ancient Romans, and you don't have that anymore. So he does stuff like that. He had something on this past week about Bierox, and it's this freaking German thing that I had never heard of when I grew up until am I breaking up?
Not to me. I don't know.
Okay. Until I got into junior high, because we moved to Western Kansas, where there's a huge German population, and so they made these Bierox
right
for school lunch. And so he had a whole thing on Bierox, and it's just this, I don't know, anyway, German thing. It's just crazy. It's pretty cool. I don't know where that.
No, that's all right. I was reading something about history. I gotta dive into the history layer some more, because some cool stuff in there. But somebody was saying, if you think about history, if you think about how many decisions were made throughout history by 19-year-olds who drank wine for breakfast, it makes a lot more sense.
Yes, this is true. That's very true, man. Well, I don't know. Is that everything we need? Because I think that's.
I think so.
Everything on the list, anyway, right? So.
So anybody who is having issues with the app, I know that there's, I said this last week, but I think I was wrong, but I'm right now that the update has been pushed out to the app stores. There were some issues with posting videos and images and stuff. And if you're on a computer or PC, I have found that Control-Shift-R works to clear your cache as a shortcut to clear your cache.
Yes.
So as the app gets updated, sometimes you don't pull down the new app update and things get wonky. If that happens, try to clear your cache because updates happen. And sorry if they're not as seamless as they should be.
Yes.
But no, I think that's through the list. I don't know what else we would have to talk about right now, unless if you want to refresh and see if anybody had added anything at the end of the DENDAO call or post real quick to see if there's any community input. Nope. Okay, good. Well, not good, but like good that we're not missing anybody. Cool. So I guess I'll see us out since I dropped off and you did the intro.
Yes, very good.
Join us next week for this show, same time. I'll fix my internet before then, I guess. There's a bunch of other shows that happen on Den that are actual shows and not just kind of administrative meetings like this one or engineering meetings or whatever you want to call it, DAO meetings. So World Blockchain is on Thursdays. Next week for that one is going to be blockchain fundamentals, which I think will be great because today we had Web 1.0, which is kind of like web fundamentals, you know? So yeah, get your learn on, throw us some questions to answer. If you think that it's a good idea to have crowdsourced topics for even the current events portion of that show, let us know. Go to World Blockchain and maybe reply in the last one, since that's today's is where we asked that question and kind of pose that. And then on Tuesdays, Super Happy Dragon Lucky is in the Dragon Chain layer. That's where Joe will give updates on Dragon Chain and on Den. And there's also a weekly AMA. Most of the weeks are the top 3 questions. And then once a month, Joe will go through all of them and do a full AMA. Coffee with Den is now hosted in the Coffee with Den layer. So I'll have to update my references around Den that point to that layer. And on Odyssey now as well. So that'll be cool. And as soon as we integrate Odyssey, I'll be able to embed that directly to Den. And of course, this call is hosted in the DENDAO layer. So check those things out. Help us build them. If you see something we don't have, let us know and help us build it. If you see something we can improve, let us know and help us improve it. And if you know somebody who's looking for an alternative to Web 2 social media, if you want to call it that, or just AI governed social media, something that has humans behind it, let them know about Den. If you've ever tried to jump ship and check out the new stuff in the past and it wasn't for you, try it again. Maybe this is. I know I tried Elo whenever that came out, and I've tried Diaspora, and I've tried, different things. So Den's a bit different. Maybe it's up your alley. Bring friends. That's all I've got. Joe, you got anything else?
Nope. All good.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll see everybody at a later time, I guess.
Bye.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, raw capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now?